Somewhere in Italy, two friends, Kelly and Sophie, are inside one of a cabin nearby towering mountains. They are on vacation and preparing for their climb the following morning. Sophie records their preparations with the camera and reminds Kelly to keep her backpack light, as they will be ascending a taller mountain this time. Kelly removes her necklace ring, pausing to reflect on a memory with a man. She places the necklace in her bag, just as four men arrive outside. That grabs the girl's attention. One of the guys, named Josh, notices Sophie and shows interest in her. A little later, he knocks on their door, introduces himself, and tries a rusty pickup line on her. He then invites the girls to join them for drinks. But both girls refuse. Meanwhile, they learn from the locals that they are the only ones planning to climb, as the mountain is already iced over. They look for Josh, but realize he went to the girls' cabin right away and discuss how inappropriate it is for him to be flirting with other women, given that he's engaged. Josh then arrives, overhears them making harsh comments about him, and starts harassing Taylor. It's now clear that Josh is acting as the alpha in their group and isn't a good friend at all. At the same time, Sophie convinces Kelly to go have a drink with the guys. Kelly reminds her that they need to wake up early in the morning, and Sophie promises they won't get drunk, and Kelly agrees. Later that night, they gather around a fire with the guys. Kelly remains quiet while Sophie is chatty and starts asking them how they became friends. Sophie teases Josh about his huge watch, and he tells her that it's a special, personalized watch with a locator beacon. Means that if he gets lost, all he has to do is push a button, and it will send a signal with his location. Sophie tells the guys that she and Kelly are planning to attempt the hardest climb tomorrow, which shocks them, and the guys respond that they will only be climbing the easier one. Kelly gets bored and gets up to go to bed, but Josh suddenly grabs her arm, trying to make her stay. However, when the other guys disapprove of Josh's behavior, he lets go of her. Kelly goes back to her cabin, watches some old recordings, and remembers how she met her boyfriend, Luca, who taught her how to climb. Meanwhile, Josh is trying to get Sophie drunk, and Reynolds tries to stop him, but since he's acting as the alpha, he won't listen. However, when Sophie gets intoxicated and starts belittling their climbing skills, Taylor and the others ignore it, but Josh takes it personally. Sophie gets up to take a leak, and Josh plans to follow her. He tells the others that the party is over and suggests they sleep now. As Sophie is about to walk back, Josh shows up and tries to force her, and Sophie starts screaming. Sophie manages to scratch Josh's face, but he tackles her to the ground. Reynolds arrives, stops Josh, and Sophie starts running away. The others agree to look for her to talk things over, believing it to be a misunderstanding and that they are just drunk. However, Reynolds does not agree, as he was the first to arrive and saw Josh forcing Sophie. Meanwhile, Sophie runs to the woods as they shouts her name and making her more scared. They eventually find her near a cliff, and Zach grabs her, but she bites his hand, and Josh punches her and pushes her over the edge. Sophie falls down, landing on her back. On the other hand, Kelly wakes up to Sophie's scream and returns to the campfire, only to find that everyone is missing and decide to look for them. Meanwhile, they find that Sophie is still alive but severely injured, and Reynolds tries to call for help. However, Josh throws his phone and tells him that no one will believe it was an accident because of a scratch on his face and bite marks on Zach's hand. As the discussion continues, Kelly hears them and follows their voices. It is revealed that this is not the first time they have committed crimes, and Josh believes they can get away with it again. Josh decides to finish off Sophie, and Reynolds continues to argue against it. However, Josh pulls out a knife and threatens Reynolds, while Zach and Taylor remain silent. Josh then ends Sophie with a large rock and hands it to Zach, urging him to hit her again. Josh then tells them that everyone is involved in this. After that, Taylor suggests that they clean her nails and throw her further down, making it look like she was drunk and trying to climb. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Kelly has already found them and starts recording everything with her camera. However, when they throw Sophie down the cliff, Kelly lets out a scream, alerting them. Josh sees that she has a camera, and they all run after her. She runs and hides in the forest while the guys split up to find her. Kelly then manages to get back to her cabin, running into Reynolds, who doesn't stop her. Realizing they're not experienced climbers like she is, she grabs her climbing gear and makes her way through the night to the face of the mountain, hoping to escape from them. The guys catch up to her, and she starts free climbing. Taylor follows and manages to grab Kelly's backpack, causing her to lose all of her climbing gear. He manages to catch up to her, but she kicks him down and he ultimately loses his footing and falls, breaking his leg. Josh, furious, screams and threatens Kelly, but she ignores him and continues climbing. The guys take Taylor back to their cabin, and instead of calling for help, Josh gives him a handful of painkillers. He tells Taylor to call for help if they're not back within 24 hours. As they get ready to climb after Kelly, they notice her phone and some of her equipment on the ground. They conclude that she might not be able to climb down without it and won't survive the cold either. Josh keeps the phone and then tells his friend to keep preparing, rushes back to the cabin, while Reynolds and Zach begin talking, with Reynolds being guilty about everything they're doing. Josh returns to the cabin to grab his gloves, but when he doesn't come back, Zach goes after him. He finds Josh rushing out and scolds him for not waiting. Meanwhile, Kelly stays focused and calm, using Luca's words as motivation to keep going. She remembers him telling her that climbing is just like chess, where she should focus on her mind rather than her muscles. Josh and the others begin their climb, pursuing her as she continues her ascent. They are much faster than Kelly because they have complete gear. After some time, Kelly pauses to take a drink of water, but her bottle slips and falls below. Josh notices and mocks her by taking a drink from his own bottle. She resumes climbing, and she encounters more trouble when a snake slithers over her hand. She breaks into a sweat, but stays still and calm until the snake moves away. Josh manages to unlock her phone and access Kelly's social media accounts, using them to troll her. However, Kelly ignores him and continues climbing. She spots a rope that could help her move to a higher handhold, but it's just out of reach. Kelly pulls a wire from the lining of her bag and uses it to snag the rope. She remembers Luca's lessons on the maneuver, and she successfully pulls it off. Meanwhile, Josh and the others are taking an easier route, climbing faster than Kelly. Later, Kelly comes across an old tent and pauses there to take a break and tend to her fingers, which are injured from climbing. However, Josh and the others have arrived on a ledge directly above her, effectively blocking her way up. Josh notices her below them and throws her a rope and demands that she tie the camera to it, promising to let her go without harm. Instead, she ties a note to the rope, which only fuels Josh's anger. The three men decide to wait until Kelly gives up, while Kelly is hanging from the ledge and it's going to get dark soon. While Josh is away, Reynolds tells Zach that Josh is going to end Kelly. However, Zach says that they have no choice and that they should support each other like they did back then. But Reynolds responds that they're not kids anymore and that this is a matter of life and death. He reminds Zach that the bully they hurt back then is still paralyzed and that he regrets what they did. But Zach is still on Josh's side. Meanwhile, having no other choice, Kelly is forced to spend the night in the ledge. She searches the tent, finds several items in the tent, including a sharp object and some candy. Kelly then fixes it up, planning to use it for the night so she can lie down and rest. After some time, night falls and Kelly enters her tent, while Josh begins taunting her again. Meanwhile, as they eat, Zach discovers that Luca died a year ago on this mountain and realizes that Kelly is here to climb in his memory. As Kelly rests, Josh fills a bag with stones and throws it down, and Kelly almost falls. But she manages to grab the bag. However, Josh immediately cuts it, and fortunately, Kelly is able to hold onto the ledge. Kelly falls asleep again and is woken up by Zach, who rappels down to grab her. He gets a hold of her, and Kelly grabs the knife she had found earlier and stabs him. This sends them both out of the tent, while Kelly holds onto Zach's gear. Josh and Reynolds pull them up, but when Josh grabs Kelly by the hair and takes her necklace, she pulls the knife from Zach and cuts her hair. Kelly manages to grab onto the tent, and before it detaches from the rock, she is able to grab her backpack and hold onto the ledge again. Reynolds convinces Josh to stop chasing after Kelly because it could be fatal for them and calls for help as two of them are already injured. Josh asks Zach if he agrees with Reynolds, and Zach says he is. And surprisingly, Josh agrees immediately and leaves to make a call, though Zach doesn't feel right about it. Kelly has managed to keep the camera safe as her only evidence of this incident. However, she is stuck on the ledge with no option to go up or down, and she can't fall asleep or she will fall to her death. While the three are sleeping, Zach tells Reynolds that he thinks Josh is lying and hasn't made any calls for help, and Zach suspects that Josh killed Taylor earlier when he went back for his gloves. They go back to sleep, but later, when Zach gets up to take a leak, he is unaware that Josh is behind him. Josh hits him on the head, causing him to fall off the mountain, and Kelly witnesses this. After a while, Reynolds wakes up and Josh lies, telling him that Zach went down to the cabin by himself to make a call. Reynolds then convinces Josh to send him to speak with Kelly about the camera. Josh agrees, and Reynolds asks for the hammer. Reynolds goes down, meets Kelly, and gives her food. He tells her that it was just Josh that planned all of this and tells her to give him the camera. He promises to tell Josh that he pushed her off the mountain and Zach will call for help as he is already on his way down. However, Kelly doesn't believe him and tells him she saw Zach fall to his death and that he did not walk down as Reynolds claims. Kelly then tells Reynolds that Josh will kill them both, no matter what happens. However, Reynolds convinces Kelly to agree with him, saying that Josh will come down next time if she doesn't give him the camera. Kelly agrees and gives Reynolds the camera. She then screams, faking a fall, and Reynolds immediately climbs back up and hands the camera to Josh. When Josh checks the camera, he discovers that the memory card is missing. At the same time, Reynolds tries to call Zach's phone and is surprised to hear it ringing in Josh's pocket. Josh and Reynolds engage in a fight, but unfortunately, Josh overpowers Reynolds, ties him to a rope, sets him on fire, and forces Kelly to watch. Josh then puts on Kelly's necklace while a traumatized Kelly sits and reveals that Luca had planned to propose to her on the day he died. Meanwhile, Kelly looks around and sees that the knife, which had fallen earlier, is not far from her, and she carefully reaches for it. At the same time, Josh gets ready to go down equipped with a hammer. When Josh starts descending, Kelly fights him off, managing to stab him with the knife and cut the rope. Josh is forced to grab onto the ledge, and Kelly manages to take back her necklace and presses the button on his special watch to call for help before kicking him off the ledge. She sits for a while, looks at the memory card and her ring, and is reminded that she still has something else to do. When the sun finally rises, Kelly continues her climb to the top, completing the ascent dedicated to Luca's death anniversary, just as the sound of a helicopter coming. See you in our next Film Flash. Thank you for watching.